All right. We finished the main story last time, and now we're just in the post-game wrap-up.
York, the other me. My other personality.
There are some things in this world that must be extracted. No matter...
York, I'm sorry,
Why can you cause me pain? Red tree!
Man, hearing that dialogue again without the distortion is real funny.
You two really are best friends. I'm a little jealous.
I'm sure he'll make you very happy.
So yeah, the case has been solved. We're back in control as Zack, obviously, no longer York, who had basically been covering for us our entire lives up until this case. But that's not it for the end of the game. No, there's actually still some fun stuff we need to do before we actually call it quits on this playthrough. All right, so first thing, yeah, just to get it recognized as the car we want to have with us every time we fast travel, because we got some otherworld replays that we need to do, because that's where we got some more trading cards and some more fun things to pick up. Okay, next we gotta go to the community center. Okay. Man. This has been a fun ride, all things considered. Now this otherworld section is quite interesting, because if you remember, this is the one where we ended up playing as Emily. But obviously she's no longer with us, so off. Thought I was far enough away, but no, I was not. And of course, I forgot to flip the weather doll again. Great. Oh, great, and even the regular non-shotgun wielding zombies take more than 2 hits now. That's... Oh, great, that's all I needed. Yeah, flip this thing up. Thank you. And then just follow the path up. Wait, hold on. I got it. That's right. Oh, wow. That spread is hilarious. Ow, come on. Fucker. Oh, shoot. No, no, no. Okay. God, the strength buff on these assholes. Oh, you fuckers. Yep, screw it. Yeah. It might take a while, but this is probably more effective as a means of exterminating them. God damn, just the... Ugh. The pain you feel when you realize your go-to one-hit kill melee weapon is no longer killing them in one hit. It's the worst. Oh, come on! God, I am getting hit way so much. This is like way more often than it should normally be. Why are you not dying? Okay, thank you. Just a bit further up. Jeez, man. Way to close the distance. Okay. Okay, at least the ones that have the fire torches seem to go down real quick, just because almost any kind of attack will make them catch on fire. Because they're idiots like that, I guess. I don't know. Alright. Keep aiming for the head as much as possible, even though it is very hard to tell because as soon as you fire, the laser pointer is no longer there. Man, with like how used to all this I've gotten with the... Oh my god, okay, that was kind of stupid, whatever, it killed them all. I can't complain there. But yeah, with like how used to like this game's like whack as hell aiming and controls and everything I've gotten, it's definitely getting me in the mood to actually just replay RE4, funny enough, because it's like it's been long enough that I need to experience again like that type of gameplay done right again, as always. Oh, all right. Yeah, just put the legend worm in the toolbox, even though we're not going to use it. Alright. And we're already back to the room where we fought Thomas. Obviously, there's some regular shadows here. But more importantly, a trading card. Mad Wild Dog. The dogs that are literally like 1.5 times the size of a moose. I think is like the best way to kind of describe that nonsense. Okay. Well, we got the card, but surprisingly, there is actually one more thing that I'm very interested to see, because I don't think I've ever really, I don't recall ever seeing it in any of like the Let's Plays or other playthroughs I've seen of people. It's like, oh wow, that dude was just frozen in place as I was shooting him on the stairs. That, and this dude's just twitching. I just found the sweet spot. Yes, okay. Oh, fuck. No, no, no. Oh, come on. Okay. I got a little bit of a break now that one of them's dead. This is so dumb. This is just so dumb. Okay. Alright. But check this out. A grass cutter. It's more like a weed whacker, if we're being honest. Oh, man. I'm actually looking forward to, like, possibly using this, because I think we still got more Otherworld replays we need to do. We were skipping past them a whole lot, just because like from episode 4 onwards, just because the game wasn't really giving us room to explore those. Okay. And picking that up just reminds me how grateful I am that we got like that weapon bag to increase our carrying capacity for that stuff. I mean, look at that. We got 9 whole weapons. There's still technically like one more we could fit there if we found something, but I have no idea if we will. Oh, actually, I guess we will. But right now, we just need to go to Galaxy of Terror. That's the next one. Ugh. So like like skimming through the walkthrough of like the stuff I need to do for this post game, I'm kind of amazed that like these like last few Otherworld replays actually have something more beyond the something that isn't just you going in to collect the trading card, like actual weapons. I can only imagine that like having just being decked out with all this stuff, if you wanted to do like chapter replays of the entire game on like higher difficulties, I feel like that would be interesting. Alright, Galaxy of Terror, here we go. I also get the sense I'm probably going to need to put away some of these weapons. I should probably, like, if I find, okay, good, there is a toolbox here. I'm going to put away the saber and the katana, just because, like, it's funny to have those weapons, but at the same time, like, they don't have the infinite durability that some of these other things have. So, yeah, we'll just put this away. It'll make enough room for any of the other extra stuff we're going to be picking up. Oh man, grass cutter. God, and I thought this game could not get any better just by having the freaking like, I did not think it could get any better in terms of melee weapons when you get that guitar, when you get Greg Hodge, like at the earliest possible point of the game. Oh my god, yes. It still takes a bit of a while, but... Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, this is perfect. Oh, this is so goofy. Like, we got all manner of conventional weapons. And conventional melee tools. But then it's like, here, have an electric guitar. And a weed whacker. I mean, I know it's called a grass cutter, but it's like, I've used things like these growing up. This is like shit you use specifically when you're trying to, like, rid your backyard of weeds. Like, if you're trying to cut grass, you're using, like a proper lawnmower. You know? But that would probably be, like, way too big and maybe a bit too complicated for the Team and Access games to try and model something like that. It's not something you can really hold like a weapon. It's like you're basically driving it around. Oh, look at that. Oh man, this is even better. Like, it can just demolish those, like, barriers and obstacles. Oh, but I'm also noticing that, like, having it on is increasing your pulse meter. Okay, so that's how they limit it. Still, this thing's hilarious. Oh my god. And because this is something you could only really get in the post-game, I am so drawing a blank whether I even knew that this existed, or that I'm discovering this for the first time. It certainly feels like the latter. Oh, God bless this game. Wait, hold on. There's a branching path. Where do I go? Oh, shoot. Actually, wait. Okay, that seems like the way forward. I should probably check here just for bonus stuff. Yeah, and it's like the animation stuff with this thing, and even like the audio feedback is so like weak. But again, it's just like the concept of this is so hilarious. Like, this is the sort of thing you'd expect to like pick up in a Dead Rising game. Just ordinary appliances being used as like vicious zombie murdering tools. Just great. Oh yeah, it was good to come here. But also, I just like the extra benefit of this. Feels like way faster and more practical to use as like a box-destroying tool as opposed to any of the other weapons that you have. Like, Grekkoch is powerful against those, but obviously, like, the wind-up on the swing can take a while. There we go. Oh, God bless this game. That said, though, I am glad to be getting near to the end of it today, just because that means I can move on to like the next games on my list that I'm wanting to play for stream. I've actually decided on like what I'm gonna be doing after this. It was kind of difficult figuring out what to do, just because it's like, one game I really want to play, I want to save for a Wednesday, but this coming Wednesday is my birthday, and I want to like have the entire day off from streaming for that, just so I can play Metroid Dread. You know, like that's my main birthday game. But like for the other days, like in between then and like the next available Wednesday, which I'm saving for Harvey Birdman, I'm deciding, like, in the spirit of Halloween, why not, especially for like real fun, schlocky October material, I'm gonna play some goddamn House of the Dead games on here. Specifically, like the two that I have for Wii, just because it's easy for me to like play those that way. You know, one is House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return, which like I've messed around with that port. Like the conversions are done very well. It's basically like the Dreamcast and Xbox ports of 2 and 3 respectively, so they run just about the same, which is good. You want it to be consistent. But then, obviously, after that, I'm sure everyone would be especially interested in seeing House of the Dead Overkill. And Overkill, especially, is actually one of those games where, you know, I'd say thankfully, it has proper 4:3 if you're, like, playing, if your Wii settings are, like, not set to widescreen or something like that. And considering, like, the old grindhouse aesthetic that game goes for, I feel it's only fitting, especially since I'm, like, playing these games on a, like, on a proper tube TV. It feels like it fits like the most, because like most survival horror games, especially like ones of the classic type, are very fitting to play like on a CRT, I find. And obviously House of the Dead Overkill is not a survival horror game. In fact, it's a rail shooter, and it's a very entertainingly goofy one at that. But the grindhouse aesthetic, I think, also, like, it gives its own reason for the appeal of playing it on, like, on, like, an old style of display. Okay. Gotta fight a shadow. So yeah, that'll be fun. I at least think that, like, House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return, because they're arcade ports, that should be easy enough to knock out in one session. Overkill is slightly longer, and I feel like I might need to split that up into 2 parts just in case. Regardless, I am planning to just get through that game like on the director's cut mode, just to kind of add a bit more length and challenge. Because that's one of the cool things about Overkill, is that, like, you have, like, your regular playthrough, but then you have the director's cut, which, like, just adds more sections to each level, hence, you know, making it very fitting of, like, the term director's cut, going with the grindhouse movie analogy. Yeah. And then once that's done, you know, like, the big treat near the end of October will be Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Because I definitely want as many eyes on it as possible, especially Kaboom, since I know, like, he's, you know, like, obviously I don't need to have him, like, on mic for every single, like, stream, unless there's, like, a game in particular that I think it would be beneficial for us to be on. But I know, like, he's also, like, a big fan of that series, so it'd be good to just have him, like, watch it along with anyone else who would be available. Just, like, again, that first case is real fun. Just from what I was able to, like, play the game to kind of see if it would be my thing, and it absolutely is. It feels exactly like a lost series of episodes from the show, but made interactive. Okay. Almost turned around, just making sure that, yes, okay. Behind me and to the right. After that, still not entirely sure what else I would want to play after that. It's still kind of up in the air. I just know that I'm trying to, like, save the 15th of November for starting a playthrough of AMP 3, just to kind of fit with it being like an anniversary type deal. Oh my god. They bring down the barriers just to put them back up because there's another crawling shadow. Are you serious? Oh my god. Barely wants to reach. Okay, got it. Back to the grass cutter. Because, yeah, obviously I have to use Greg Koch for the crawling shadows because, like, this thing has no y-axis aiming. It is just whatever is directly in front of York. I'm sorry, not York, Zach. Gotta remember, that's important. I even changed the Go Live notification to reflect that as part of the joke, but whatever. But I don't know, I've also been thinking, yeah, I might just try my hand at doing like a Metroid playthrough of admittedly there's two types of Metroid playthroughs I kind of want to do. One is of the Prime trilogy, which is like what obviously I have the most fondness for. Prime 1 is like the one Metroid game that is within my top 100 of favorite games of all time. But then, let's see. But then there's obviously like the 2D Metroid series playthrough I want to do because obviously Dread has recently come out and I'm wanting to play that. And it's you would think I would hold off playing Dread like until like I do it like after this sort of like series playthrough of the 2D games. But I want to save a stream playthrough of Dread for only after I've gotten familiar with what that game has and can like reasonably go for a like 100%. Not necessarily fastest playthrough, but definitely 100% collection for all items. Then also I still need to even then I still need to like get through like Samus Returns. Because I loaded that up in Citra just to see how it would run, and also just to get a sense of like, you know, that is clearly the predecessor to what Dread was gonna be. Mercury Steam being the developers after all. Yeah, I don't know. It's still kind of up in the air. I almost feel like this might be. It may or may not to be to my benefit. To do it this way. I'm not sure, but I feel like with how much I just want to play Dread, like saving Samus Returns for like immediately after, may or may not be difficult to really get into. Because everything I had seen of like the footage for Dread is like so much more refined. Like it makes that 3DS game come off so much like it was just a test run. You know, they needed to do a remake of like probably like the least good or just bad or just the worst of the original 2D games, so that they could run and make Dread, which from my circle of friends has been telling me is like up there as an amazing game already, just like on multiple levels. Regardless, Metroid games being played on stream is happening sometime in the future. I just have no idea when. There's also the matter with like the 2D games that it's like, for some of them, especially Super Metroid. Like I made mention of this before, and even when I did streams early on, like before getting like this CRT, and even before I got like this VTuber avatar, I was particularly fond of like using like my modded Wii and its like various homebrew emulators of old consoles like NES, SNES, all the various Sega consoles, TurboGrafx, / PC Engine rather, just because the only game I had played using that was Rondo of Blood, which did not get a TurboGrafx release. And it's like, and every time like I boot it up, it's like, and playing on my CRT, like, yeah, this is absolutely fun, like 240p goodness, like on an analog display, like it was meant to. I am then reminded, oh yeah, my fucking capture card cannot handle 240p sources whatsoever. Like, if it's over component, it just does not read it at all. if it's over S video or below, like composite and whatnot, it just misinterprets it as 480i and therefore applies like its dumb like deinterlacing filter and just kind of blurs it. So it's like, I really want to play, I want to keep playing these games on the CRT, make use of like this component distribution amplifier that I've had for months now. But I don't have like a better capture card for it, and if I did have one that would like be able to handle it, it would still need to be done through an upscaler. That's the problem. And I have like I don't have the upscaler, and I do not have a non-Elgato capture card because the kind I would want to go for seem to have compatibility problems with Elgato's shit to begin with. So that's the dilemma. Obviously, the way I would get around it probably would be to, while still playing on these, like, on my Wii itself, would probably be to just, like, output to 480p and just have the emulators like double the resolution anyway. Which, yeah, that works. And admittedly, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference whatsoever for like the people watching, because these streams are obviously being watched on like digital displays. But I still care about the personal fun I'll have by playing it the way I want to. And that's ultimately why I'm probably more considering just like sticking with playing like the Prime trilogy first, if anything, because I can at least count on it, like on this capture card handling the I can at least count on it to handle 480i well enough. Okay. And here we go. We now got an infinite assault rifle. Might as well use it. Yeah, and the ammo used is like per clip is 120. So yeah, it's about like a third of like the clip capacity that like the submachine gun has, but it seems to kill them all much faster. Wait, hold on. I just realized something. And I completely... Oh my god, I am an idiot. Oh, fuck. I was not paying attention when I got to the freaking restroom area and just completely missed the trading card. Time to run back through here. Great. Just great. Ugh. This is bad. I apologize. At least there's like a warp out point near where the trading card is, which I think will be helpful. Come on, just let me get through. Thank you. Stupid hitboxes with their absurdly huge size. Or collision boxes, rather. Ugh. Oh, that door doesn't even open? Like, are you serious? Okay, this is the one. Yeah, like, I've started to have the distinct feeling that I was missing something as soon as, like, I got that infinite assault rifle, because I was like, hang on, normally I'd be getting the trading card before I get, like, whatever bonus weapon is in here, and then it hit me that, like, a third or maybe even a half way to the back, like earlier in the map, I completely missed the stupid card. Yeah, this is real dumb. Wait, hold on. Okay. Wait, no, that's not the right way. This should be the right way. Whew. Yeah, Metroid. Metroid's been on the brain for sure. Like, even to the point where I've been, like, replaying, like, small parts of, like, Super and Fusion just to kind of tide myself over until I can actually play Dread in a few days. I've even been playing, like, Fusion on the, on the Game Boy emulator, VBA GX that exists on the, on Wii, like, if you have it soft modded. And, like, when it came to running Game Boy Advance games on there, it always, like, felt like I was having mixed results just because there were moments, depending on the game, where you where it just could not maintain like a constant speed. Like depending on the option you would set, it would either be like the game would actually slow down, or if you enable frame skip just to maintain speed, it would like skip like a varying amounts of frames. Fusion, meanwhile, just playing through that kind of surprised me that, like, I guess because it was like early enough in the system's life that they weren't pushing it to the insane degree other games did. It felt like it was kind of refreshing to have so few frame skips, if any at all. I think it was mostly if it was like stacking one too many effects from like charge beam shots and like one too many enemies spawning in or something like that. I don't know, but either way, it was smooth enough. And like with fixed like pixel ratio, being displayed on the CRT, this is real at 240p is real beautiful, I gotta say. Granted, I would probably still end up playing the game like on emulator if I were to do it for a stream just to try and like avoid that problem, or maybe not. I don't know. I think the one remaining thing I'd actually have to check is Zero Mission, because I feel like that might run into more problems trying to run it in VBA GX. Okay, this is what we needed. The red seeds. Good. We can get the fuck out of this goddamn level. We're done. Okay. So there's only two more Otherworld replays we need to do. It's the Sheriff's Department and Harry's Mansion. So we're going to go to the police station first. Actually, hold on. Have we... Okay, so I still got space for two more weapons that we can pick up, which is good. Because the last two replays have exactly that. And that assault rifle's not too bad, I gotta say. I honestly like it a lot more than the submachine gun just because it kills things faster. But still, if I had the option, I'm still going to stick with any of these goofy melee weapons. They're a lot more reliable, it feels like, when it comes to just raw damage output, which is kind of what you care about most in a game like this. That, and when you play something like RE4, you realize full well that nothing about automatic weapons ever really feels as satisfying as just single-shot stuff. God, RE4 is so good. Just always thinking about it and being like, man, I just need to play it again. That's probably another game that I should absolutely try and find time to stream again. But this time do like the, I don't know, maybe like just the Japanese version. Because why not? That is like the version of the game that actually has like fixed camera angles when you're playing the Ashley segment, which is obviously a very small portion of the game in the grand scheme of things. But I think that's a novelty that's worth showing off. Plus, it's like, it's still RE4. Like, you know how, like, yeah, like, if you know how Resident Evil games ultimately play out, you really are not being held back by a language barrier when going through that. And also, it's still Resident Evil 4. Ow. Okay. Just got around it. Wow, I cannot believe how... that shotgun damage is absurd. Okay, so I ended up looping around. Oh, nope, stop hitting the guide button. God damn it, game. Right, this is the door. It's kind of hard to see it sometimes, I feel like. This really is the ultimate in box-destroying technology. I fucking love it. See, what else have I been doing in the meantime? Because obviously I've been thinking a lot about the next set of games I'm wanting to stream after going through Deadly Premonition. There. Okay, just keep running. Oh. And... is that it? I think that is. Good. Okay, that's a relief. Pick up these agent honors. But yeah, just other stuff I've been thinking of as far as, like, playing. I mean, as far as just stuff that I've been doing to try and keep myself busy and not stressing too much about the fact I'm not playing Metroid Dread right now. Like I've been kind of getting back in the mood of just playing immersive sims, because it was like not too long ago that I ended up playing through Prey Moon Crash for the first time. And because of how much fun I had, I went back to the main game again, but did like another Typhon-only powers run on Nightmare Survival of all things. So it was an especially fun challenge. It was quite interesting on that front. But yeah, it just got me reinstalling like a lot of the other arcane games I have. I got Dark Messiah Mind Magic and beat that. I even reinstalled Deus Ex and kind of got my feet a bit wet on playing that game on realistic difficulty, because that was something I had never at the time like fully understand like what that difficulty was, and how it wasn't just a straight very hard mode. It was more like, you know, it was actually more than that. It was just the kind of high difficulty that I actually do like, which is the kind that makes you more of a glass cannon, because it's the sort of thing where enemies, their damage health thresholds are like the same as on the medium difficulty, which is default, but they deal extra amounts of damage to you. So it's like you're lethal to them, But they're also lethal to use, so it balances out a lot better than something like hard difficulty, which just makes them into damage sponges, which is, I never like that at all. So like getting through that, like through Liberty Island and like through Castle Clinton, like so like very early in the game, I kind of stopped around that point after I kind of wanted to hold off on possibly doing a more like thorough replay of it, because it's like I had not thought about it until just recently, but Deus Ex being like my first immersive sim, when I kind of break it down, like as far as like the type of games I've ended up playing that qualify as that, I've actually like, because of all the other games I played since then, some of that knowledge and like desire for experimentation actually ended up helping me a lot more than I realized on revisiting it, because I've not played Deus Ex since like 2013, I think it was. I'd have to look at like my Steam copy again, because it's like that one I didn't reinstall. I had like at some point a while ago like bought it on GOG just because I prefer DRM free if possible. But like just sort of like the common tactics you'd expect in like these sort of games, where it's like taking advantage of objects in the environments to kind of set off certain reactions or distract enemies, or like using mechanics in certain ways that you never really thought to do, even because the game doesn't explain it, but it's technically still there. So that ended up helping me a lot, just going through like the Liberty Island level on realistic and realizing, oh yeah, this isn't, I mean, obviously it's still something that like early on encourages you a lot to focus on being stealthy, but playing stealthy was already like a better proposition in Deus Ex than going in full guns blazing, just because the combat really does not work unless you just boost your weapon skills to master level, and even then it's still kind of off. But yeah, there's a lot of these sort of games that like I'm again, because I do streaming now is like my main excuse for playing through for finding the time to play through games that like I normally have a hard time finding time for or making the decision to play. It's also had the unintended side effect of me going, hold on, this could be good for the stream material, I should hold off on it. But then I am like depriving myself of the joy of playing it now in my own time, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Regardless, probably just a series of streams where I go through like the Deus Ex games. Well, maybe I shouldn't commit myself to the idea of playing the series, because that would mean having to go through everything after Deus Ex 1. Which sounds harsh, because even though I know I liked Human Revolution at the time, I kind of, even then, my opinion on it was that, yeah, this is still not as good as the original. Granted, it's probably, like, between the two, games that were trying to carry on the Looking Glass legacy, but like not very well, between something like the BioShock series and Human Revolution, I'd still probably go with Human Revolution over those games at all. But yeah, just something where it's like, yeah, I could play Deus Ex on stream and also just do a series of streams covering like the notable games in Looking Glass's history, as well as playing through the stuff in Arcane's catalog, you know? Because I also, like, I've been, like, digging around in Arx Fatalis, but haven't gotten around to still beating it yet, because it's, like, I'm still trying to, like, figure out, like, what the best way to go about, like, doing it, like, efficiently and thoroughly. And then, of course, there's even the Ultima Underworld games, which is, like, that's a whole other can of worms, where it's, like, I've dabbled in those so much, just dicking around, like, on the first and second level, but never being able to beat, just because it's, like those games, Ultima Underworld 1 and 2 are like designed around the idea of like, yeah, you should have a notepad out at all times and like taking and like writing things down. And I never seem to really have those on hand for when I need them. So I ended up kind of stopping around level 3 when you're introduced to the lizard men, because that's where you have to start like learning their language. Oh well. But who knows, maybe if I did a stream of both Underworld games, that would finally be the thing that gets me to beat them. Because, like, controlling them was never much of an issue for me, if I'm being honest. Like, I got used to it. I mean, I know how to beat System Shock 1 with the original controls, for God's sake. So we'll see how that goes. Regardless, it's a lot of lengthy games in like a genre that I genuinely enjoy. Some games in that genre, obviously, I like more than others, but I still think it's important to show those off. I'm also going to take my time going through this section just to get briefly back on topic with the game, to pick off these shotgun zombies one after the other, because I know how much damage they're doing per hit, and I really don't want to keep dealing with that. Or maybe I'll just keep running past. Yeah, I think actually it might be better to do it this way. Okay, this is fine. Alright, that's fine. I don't care if I'm missing a bunch of Agent Honors lying around. It's kind of not worth it. Alright, time for the weed whacker. Still playing all these cutscenes again, even though there's kind of no further purpose to them, I guess. There. Now then, this is... That's right. And there's the trading card. The reverse peace sign, which the game obviously says to us is that never was it in the first place. It was just a tree. Oh, man. Oh, God. Actually, you know what I'm thinking of? As far as, like, stream ideas? Like... This is actually, like, more relevant to Deadly Premonition of all things. Mostly just to do with sweary. But given my fondness of just showing off, like, weird PS2B games, I just remember that spy fiction exists. I've never really touched spy fiction, like, ever, like, mess with it in my own hands. Like, I've watched Super Great Friend, obviously, like, do a Let's Play of it, which was very entertaining. But... never really, like, played it myself to just kind of, like, see how I would enjoy it. I probably would. There was some delightfully goofy stuff that happens in that game and you can get up to with it, so that's probably worth a consideration. Just right now, stuff with, like, my PS2 in general, it's still working fine, obviously, but like, I have had it unplugged for a while just because... I got my 360 and Wii hooked up for the time being. And I'm obviously going to be needing to make use of the Wii specifically for the House of the Dead streams in the days following this. But yeah, once that's all said and done, I would not mind hooking the PS2 back up again, just and loading more games onto the hard drive and go, okay, let's see what weird shit that we can get up to today. There's probably something fun. Oh, here it is. We got the axe. Unfortunately, it is not the Raincoat Killer's axe. So it's not that amazingly huge swing, but that's fine. We'll actually give this a little bit of a shot. I can only imagine it would have to be more powerful than even the Grekkoch, right? If not, we can still stick with our good old Weed Whacker. But for now, we gotta finish up the last Otherworld replay, and that's at Harry's mansion. And there we go. 3 out of 4. Yep, still 9 weapons. We got room for the last one once we clear out this final Otherworld playthrough. God, just with all these goofy weapons, it really is making me consider more and more. I should do chapter replays of this game on hard mode just to see how that stacks up with all these busted tools you get. I can imagine. Hopefully, it would not be like anything like super frustrating. I mean, doing chapter replays with all the stuff you get by the end of the game is practically the closest you get to a New Game Plus. Like, I know if you try and do like another playthrough from the very beginning, it just erases all your progress. Oh yeah, and of course, we gotta drive up to Harry's mansion. The warp point doesn't bring us right to his doorstep. Frick. Okay. I also forget if there's even like a talk prompt during the epilogue now that you've returned to being Zack instead of York. Like, is Zack gonna try and talking to York or just talking to himself about anything?
York,
Oh yeah, he does.
can you hear me? I'm a little jealous.
I'm all alone on this side now.
But don't worry, York.
I've had it easy for so long having you with me. I need to get used to being on my own.
Yep. Zack is now his own man. He is not defined as being the voice inside York's head. Okay. Just keep going up the damn hill. All right. Definitely gotten a bit better at, like, dealing with the handling on York's car. It's definitely worth putting up with just because of, like, the increased speed and all. It's so good. Getting around this place is such a breeze now. Oh! Okay. Oh yeah, I should also mention it, like, for people that might wonder. Now that when we're in the epilogue as Zack, this is his only outfit. We actually do not get access to any of the suits anymore. It's just him without the jacket and the head bandage. I guess they just didn't have the time to try and, like, accommodate those to, like, Zack's model. Like, it's this like, they designated as a specific one instead of doing, like, a palette swap. Oh well. We got our axe. Just gonna keep picking up all these agent honors. Are you kidding? Oh, you bitch. Okay, no, screw that. Maybe that'd be more fun to use it. Oh my god, Oh, that frame rate gets real choppy when it's like colliding with that, with objects like that. Oh my god. Yeah, you know, screw it. Weed whacker it is. That's all we need. Hold on, I'm trying to remember now where the split is. Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, this is still the most effective melee weapon that you could possibly get. Even more than the Grekkoch. As crazy as that is to think. Come on, let me through. Thank you. And now to go back and follow this trail. Man, doing all these back-to-back certainly gets tiring after a while, but honestly... I forget, this doesn't actually bust them up, does it? No. Okay. So yeah, you still have to go through the main courtyard anyway. I actually never looked down that hallway the first time, so I completely forgot that there was even that blockade. Alright. No? Oh, fuck you. Alright, fine. We'll do it this way. Okay. There. Just pick up more of these things. But yeah, it's pretty exhausting going through all these back to back, but it is still necessary just to kind of get the... to get like all these item pickups out of the way. All the trading cards, the bonus weapons. Everything after this at least will be more interesting because it's straight up us getting the side quests out of the way. Still, we're already like, what, like an hour in already just from doing this? So yeah. The post game is like not like a terribly long bit of content to deal with. I mean, like it's comparable to like the times where we've had to do like multiple chapter replays early on in the game, you know? It's not that big of a deal. Oh yeah, that was just a rest, like a break room. That's fine. We can just keep going this way. I still love how crazy the visuals are when you get to like this outside walkway and just see like the water rushing past, like the effects for that, combined with the skybox. It's quite hellish, to put it mildly. Also, goddamn it, every time like I keep forgetting whether or not like the game just turns off the does not turn on the flashlight sometimes, or if I'm accidentally pressing the button to turn it off. No wonder I couldn't see some things. Okay. Excuse me. My nose is Starting to give me a bit of problems just with like some annoying itches, but I'm managing. Just make our way to the second courtyard. Yep. Even the weed whacker is good for disabling padlocks on doors. Video game logic. Just back and forth, back and forth. Come on. There we go. And it's a nice relief that we don't have to worry about doing like this puzzle again. I appreciate that. Okay. All these ammo pickups that are not necessary. Wait, hold on. Is that even the right direction? Oh. No, it's not. It's this way. That's right. Always follow the trail of Agent Honors. It's literally one of the best decisions they've made with like these replays. Oop. Get out of the way of the shotgun. There. Yeah, we're on a roll. This whole like this weapon right here is still so hilarious, and it's the best. I still cannot believe that they still had one more thing in here that was better than the electric guitar being used as a blunt instrument. It was this. Okay. Now inside Harry's command center, we should have the final infinity weapon. And it is a chainsaw. There we go. Still kind of swings the same way. And it's probably not going to be, like, especially potent in terms of damage, but whatever. Anyway, now for side quests. A nice change of pace from running these gauntlets. Oh yeah, there's the smokes. Man, we haven't even run empty on these things. Oh well. Okay, so we need to get to 2 p.m. or so. A little bit past 2 p.m. actually. Yeah, we'll do that. Now let's head inside. We gotta talk to Harry. Because he has a very interesting quest for us. I say quest in quotes because it's really not that. It's more like a trivia game. Oh, okay. Still loaded with so much cash. Honestly, that's probably the last thing I'm going to do once I get to the end of the game. I'm going to see how much I can use this money to just buy out the remaining cars in the junkyard. Okay, they're just straight up ahead. Thank God I don't have to go too far in here. Hey there.
Zach, you don't feel like leaving this town yet, do you?
You're right. Something's making me want to stay a bit longer.
Well, since you gave me a visit, why don't we play a little game?
A game?
A simple game. You don't have to go anywhere. I'll ask you multiple choice questions about Greenvale, that's all. Would you like to give it a try?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, we'll do that. I got the
Then
cheat
let
sheet
me
ready.
know when
Let's
we'll
go.
get started.
Greenvale Trivia. Wait, no, I meant to press B. Oh, whatever. Alright, let's start.
All right, then. These questions are about Greenvale. Are you ready? First question.
Keeper of the Woods, Jim Green. Who's he the father of? That's Lily.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
But how about this next one? Second question.
Richard's son Quint. What is his favorite pastime? Okay, I gotta remember my this one. Oh yeah, tinkering his bike.
Impressive. But can you answer this one correctly? Third question.
And what are the name of George's dumbbells? That's an easy one. Who could forget Arnold and James and Bond and Bonnie and Clyde? Okay, obviously those last two were wrong, but those are pretty strong ones. I'll give them credit. I'll give Swery and or the localizers credit for that.
Simply astonishing. It's quite difficult to answer these consecutively.
Perfect.
Perhaps it's just a sign that I put too much heart into my work.
Perhaps. But you must control your feelings, your desire to stay.
Oh, you're right. At this rate, I'll be here forever.
Well then, I shall give you your prize. Here, take this.
And it's a trading card. Yep, same as a kid.
You can leave this town in our care now and follow your own path.
Okay. Now then. Remember, is this the room? Yes, it is. Alright, Michael. Hope you don't mind me reading your diary. I'm curious to see if you rhyme even when you put your words onto paper. Oh, God. Is that actually going to be the case? I honestly don't know.
What's this? Day 2190. It's my 6th year working for Mr. Stewart.
What?
On this special day, I have noticed something terrible. I've lost a most precious object. Day 2192.
Okay, he doesn't rhyme
Looked
in his
everywhere,
diary.
but I still cannot find
But
it.
he records
I
his
cannot
days
discuss
based
this
on,
with
like,
Mr. Stewart.
starting from
What
when he
should I
started
do?
working for
The
Mr.
precious
Stewart.
bird carving that he
Like,
gave me. Where did I put it?
You
Day
serious?
2193.
No sane
I've searched
person
inside
keeps
and
track of
outside.
time this
Even
way.
in the car. I've looked for it at night so Mr. Stewart wouldn't find out. But I cannot find it anywhere. Maybe I should just give up.
An incomplete treasure. Okay. First things first, we're gonna head over to the A&G Diner for this one, because that's where we're gonna find the bird carving. Then we're gonna sleep until it's 9 p.m. and then go back here, which includes the long drive up because the Harry's Mansion warp point is completely stupid. And then we'll turn it in. A&G, let's go. Okay. Now I have to imagine, is the phone in question where the bird carving's next to? That must be like the phone that's on the inside, right? Ah, yes it is. Oh, that's a nice carving. Alright, that's it. Don't need to eat anything here for the time being. Alright. Now, obviously, we need to head over to, like, the Tree of Anna just to sleep it off there, because obviously going back to our hotel room is where, like, the end of the epilogue is going to trigger, just because that's the next story point, and we really don't want that. Tree of Anna, let's go. Yeah, so much fast travel going on at this part of the game. Alright, so it's 2. Which means that, like, that would be, like, about 7 hours from now that we need it to be in order to go back to complete the side quest. I don't know. We'll just sleep 6 hours here for now. This should be fine. Then we'll go back to Harry's mansion, smoke outside for like an hour, then head inside. There we go. Turkey sandwich. The most filling of food in Deadly Premonition. That said, though, I can feel myself starting to get a bit hungry, but not too bad that I need to start to like stop the stream or take a break or anything like that. Okay. Oh yeah, and also, like, another thing of note, because we've finished off Case and solved the case, let's say, for instance, we actually wanted to go around Greenvale, like, after midnight. It would actually be safe this time, because the other world will not be encroaching during that time period. It's like a nice, nice detail. Ugh. Man.
One more thing.
Ooh.
I hope things are going well with Emily. You've always been horrible with women.
Oh, is that the truth?
I gave you tons of advice during your last relationship. And you ignored all of it. I'm sure Emily will take the lead.
She should. She deserves it.
Let her steer you in the right direction.
I love that detail. Like, it is so clear, just like York's... like, I made mention of it before, but it's like York's weirdness is the sort of thing where, like, it is clearly, I think, just born out of like a weird perspective / like understanding of other people that makes him come off as like an asshole, which is like the most polite way of putting it. Probably in like worse situations, you might even say maybe sociopath. I don't know. I mean, him being like the one that's in charge of doing all like the criminal profiling, he's probably had to get like some weird ideas in his head in order to like do his job. That like now we're back in control of Zack. He's the one that's kind of returned. Like now, Zack is the one that is the whole time been the one filled with common sense. So yeah, it's no surprise that like the reason why York has had rotten luck with women is because he is that much of a weirdo and just does not listen to his best friend's relationship advice. Oh man. Oh, this duo is just the best. It is getting me more and more curious about just like trying out Deadly Premonition 2 sometime in the future. Problem is, though, I'm not especially feeling myself wanting to play that game on Switch. Like, I would not be surprised if they obviously did, like, some sort of, like, patches to try and, like, fix up any bugs or performance issues. But chances are, I'd probably be more curious about just, like, taking that game and, like, loading it through, like, any of the Switch emulators that are out right now and see how that handles it. Because, yeah, obviously all the rage these days, based on, like, the headlines we've seen everywhere, has been about, like, oh, man, you can run Dread in, like, 4K at 120 FPS. Isn't that, how crazy is that you could do that for a game, like, right when it's even come out? But now it's like, yeah, sure.
Yes.
But by the same token, I really don't think that like, the performance boost is really that big of a draw. It's not like it's like running terribly on the Switch to begin with. Like obviously it'll run its best if you're playing it docked.
This is...
I'm sorry, Michael. I just had to read your diary.
How very impolite of you. I'm so shocked. I'll stop rhyming for now.
Oh my god!
In the diner, Michael.
Oh, he acknowledged that he just rhymes everything and he's like, no, I'm gonna stop because of how the fuck did you know about this?
But why does it have no eyes?
Mr. Francis Zack Morgan, Mr. Stewart gave me this carving the day he adopted me.
It was an unfinished carving, made by Mr. Stewart himself.
Oh,
He
man.
gave it to me. He said, when you grow up to
I
be a
forgot
fine man,
that-
as a son I can be proud of.
That, like, he even, like, starts talking without rhymes when you do this side quest.
I'm far from receiving the eye parts if I'm losing the bird itself. And I'm far from being a son that Mr. Stewart can be proud of.
Michael,
Mr. Stewart!
Oh,
let me give you these.
it's the eyes for the bird.
The eyes for the bird.
Have you forgotten my promise? What a fine son you turned out to be.
But I...
It's okay, Michael. Objects are not important. It's your heart.
This is an amazing side quest.
That's what
Or
I
at least this is
wanted
just
to
an
teach you.
amazing
You
exchange.
learned it well. I'm proud of you. Thanks to Zack and York, we can stop our act now. You and I need to be a team and steer this
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, we need to stop this act of me being a mysterious capitalistic asshole and you being like my rhyming
You would bring the
assistant.
carving back. Thank you.
Amazing. He knew exactly what was going on all along.
Mr. Francis Zack Morgan, you've been very kind to help me, and I appreciate it very much.
Liquefied food.
No problem. Look after your father.
I don't even recall seeing that particular object in like in the main playthrough, or even like what even is that? Oh, whatever. Let's go back to the tree and sleep. And then when it's the next morning, hopefully a sunny day and not a rainy one, we'll head on over to the milk barn. Okay. Now then. Tree of Anna. There it is. Now these next two side quests are some pretty big ones. They're actually the last two that we need for this chapter. With one of them being quite like a heavy decision, actually. There's a reason for why, like, based on this walkthrough, that it's been saved for the very end of the game. You'll see. Once it's morning and we can head over to the milk barn and talk to Keith. Long sleep, 12 hours. We need all the time to pass that we can. Oh, good. It's a lovely day. Should also chow down on some food. We got plenty of food. Yeah, just use the biscuit. Oh yeah, I should also just use the radio right now. All right. Now we're here, and we can initiate the final two side quests. Yeah, so he's had this prompt over his head for a while. Number 17.
Hey, bro.
So,
Hey, man.
Keith, what's wrong? You're usually
you finally
You
discovered
really want
something,
me to
huh?
drag you down too, FBI?
Maybe I can pull you back up.
Well, I've lost something, man. My most precious treasure in the whole world. Well,
I mean, your
my most
wife's over
precious
there.
after my family.
Oh,
My
that.
guitar, man, it's gone. Lily said she gave it away. Gave it away. Can you believe that? She says it's my fault for not tidying up the storeroom. I don't get her, man. What kind of logic is that?
I agree. That is like some
storeroom.
conservative
Lose
tier
my
punishment
guitar?
to children that is designed
with
to
me,
like
right,
cause
FBI?
like mental trauma
Man to
and
man,
needs for
you see where I'm
therapy.
coming from.
Your guitar means that much to you.
Oh, my meeting with that fine guitar is what led me onto the path of rock, man. It was back in high school. I made my first visit to Seattle. The world was tired of pop music, and people were crying out for a new sound. It was only a few years before grunge would explode out of Seattle. I met a true rocker there, man. He had the
Oh.
sunglasses, a biker jacket, and the long hair. Man, he even had a bandana. I mean, he was behind the times by then, but nevertheless, the pure white guitar on his back hypnotized all who passed him. In the midst of everyone wanting something new, I glimpsed a tradition that had to continue. That's right. It's called rockabilly. You dig me, right, man? The world can't be built solely on new things. I couldn't help myself. I approached him
Yeah.
and opened my mouth.
I mean, that's a
I
statement
told
I
him
could
what
agree
was
with.
feeling, FBI,
At
right
the
there
same
on
time, the world
street.
doesn't
I
need
don't
to
remember the
like
words I
be
used now.
adhering
It
to
was
only old
like a
things.
dream.
You need
But it
both in order to
sparked
make
something
progress.
inside me. I can tell
You need to
that.
make new
Our
things
shared
while
love
also
of music
recognizing the
allowed us
things
to
in,
talk like
that
old
worked and build on that
friends. Before I
foundation.
knew it, I'd been hanging out with this guy for 3 days. When I finally had to go home, what do you know? He gave me that guitar, man. He said that the soul of rock should be passed on to the next generation. That is how the legendary guitar Grekach came into my hands. Well, thanks for listening anyway, FBI.
You mean the
Means a lot to
imitation?
me.
That's kind of the thing, actually. Oh, well, whatever. Well, I'll help you out, man. I've already got a weed whacker.
Hey, bro.
So, I think... Wait, how do I... Are you kidding? Why is it not letting me... Heal what's hurting me. Got a shattered heart, man. There's no substitute for the Grekach.
Hey, bro.
Hold on. Yeah, okay, there's Spiritual Map C, which we obviously need, but I'm trying to figure out, how do you give him the Grekach? I have it in me. Like, oh my god, he's dancing in the background. Oh, dear. Hold on,
Hey,
I
bro.
gotta try again. No, I meant... Fucking 360 D-pad.
Hey, bro.
The worst. Oh, right, I had to go over to the weapons tab. Duh. Oh, I'm an idiot.
Hey.
Hey!
Oh, baby. Where did you find it?
Lily gave it to me as a reward for cleaning up the story.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm happy to see it with you. Treat it well. I'll just do the manly thing and forget about it.
Come on,
No,
Keith.
no,
I
you
can't play
keep
it
that
myself.
guitar.
Instruments exist to be played, not to become an ornament. What am I going to do?
Or a
with it?
blunt
As a
instrument, for
weapon?
that matter, which
That's
you've
not
been
what it's
using for the
You're
entire
using this
freaking
guitar.
game.
You should have it.
Bro.
Surprised that the game doesn't keep track of that and you hand it back and it's got a bunch of
FBI,
dents all
you're
over
all
it.
right. Hey, just hold on a moment. Take this then, in exchange.
And we get the gold card. 50% off
It's
discounts.
a gold card, our super discount card. There's no markup on anything we sell you if you use this. This, in a way, means I'd work for no pay for you, man.
Huh.
Sure.
Of course, we're buddies, man. Yeah.
The bond between men. Beautiful. Alright. Now then,
Hey, bro.
we can actually buy something new that will give us our last side quest. Spiritual Map C.
Hey, man. That map you just bought. It's the map to get to the Greenvale Central Substation. It's down by the Emerald River, owned by a company named Darius Incorporated. It's there to supply extra power through hydroelectricity. Cool, huh? But it hasn't been used since a certain incident.
Alright, time for another spooky story.
The name of the victim was Laura, the only
Laura
daughter of
Palmer?
the rich Bartons who lived down by the lake. One weekend morning, the man of the house,
Nah, that'd be too on
Alex,
the nose.
was awoken by the
Yeah, whatever. A
screams
lot
of
of
his
this
wife.
game's visual,
When she
and
calmed
thematic
down,
touches are too on the
she
nose for
told him that
fucking
Laura
to
was
Twin
gone.
Peaks. Like, come on.
Alex did his best to calm his hysterical wife and started looking for the girl. There were a lot of possibilities at this point as to what happened. But heading out to the garden, he came across something chilling. His daughter's beloved dog, soaking wet, with one of her shoes in his mouth.
She drowned.
Ah, well, Alex headed for the bathroom next. I would have headed straight for the boathouse myself. Was he confused? Maybe just shaken. He washed his face, his hands, and then he called the police.
So he was worried about something else.
Oh yeah, FBI, you're hot. The police searched the lake for like 10 days, but they didn't find Laura. The search was called off, but some people started to doubt that this was a simple drowning. 31 days after
Did she have a
vanished,
was her husband a
Laura showed
writer?
up in a most unexpected place. There was a massive power outage after
This
a
game
night of
even
rain.
actually came out a couple
Laura's
months before
body
Alan
was
Wake,
the
funny
cause.
enough.
Oh man, it makes me shudder to even think about it.
Also kind of topical
When
bringing
workers
that
for
up
the
considering
electricity
Alan Wake
company opened
Remastered
up the
came
water
out, which is
turbine,
like...
There she was.
I've seen some choice
Inside,
cutscenes where it seems like just the updates they did to the model
Having
seem
fallen into
really,
the
really
lake, the
off.
turbine must have
But
sucked
I don't
her
know.
up. The blood vessels in her eyes had
I haven't
burst,
really had
and
much
her
of a
nails
desire
were
to ever really
ripped
go
off.
back to Alan Wake
Her
or
hair
American
was
Nightmare.
all caught in the
Even though I
turbine,
had
too.
fond enough memories of playing them back then.
It must have been a painful way to die, man. And during the autopsy,
Still haven't
signs
even
of
played
abuse
Control of
were
all
found on
things.
her body.
That's what the father
Thanks,
was worried
EGS.
Of course,
Fucking
that led
timed
to the rumors that she
exclusivity.
took her own life. Lost in a maze of abuse by her parents, she chose to give up living. But in doing so, she brought the truth to light. Kinda creepy though, huh? Sad too. You better be careful, Mr. FBI, if you go down there by yourself.
So yeah. A spooky story that really has nothing at all to do with like the actual contents of what we're gonna be going through. But the reason for that is actually simple. This side quest is entirely a boss rush. Yeah. All 3 of the bosses that we fought in this game. Should also save at the phone just to be sure. Okay. There we go. 3, 4, 6, 6, 7. So much money. Oh wait, that's right. We're also going to need to drive to the location itself. Hopefully I can parse together where that's going to be. Right, it's that way. So yeah, just go east on January Way. Done. Oof. Oh well, some money deducted, but that's not too bad. Okay. Actually, before I even stop by there, I should see if Zach has, like, another thing that he wants to talk to York about. Yes, he does.
So much has happened since we came to this town.
That's it? Seriously? Oh my god. Fine. Alright. You don't have anything else interesting to say, Zach. I get it. Okay, getting the assault rifle ready. And there it is, the entry point. Let's see how well we do against all these bosses now. Yeah, I'll give this a shot. We're gonna have a victory lap on these assholes. Okay. God, I completely forgot that this was even a side quest that this game had.
Hey, little piggy, cry all the way home. Take this. Have this. Dodge this.
Okay. Still trying to hit him because of the backlight is so difficult sometimes just to see your crosshair.
Dodge this.
Okay. As long as you keep it up and move the crosshair consistently, it's still fine.
I'll show you how serious I am. I'll turn you into hamburger meat.
Oh my god, just the swerves.
You shouldn't have come.
Oh, well, that's the first one done. Wait, is there not a toolbox around here? I was hoping to put some things away, but oh, who cares? Let's go fight George. Okay, so we got like a boss, a special boss intro cutscene for for Thomas, and yeah, we're getting one for George as well. I wonder if it means we're gonna get all phases with him as well. Okay, come on. Ow! Oh my god! Oh, and I forgot to flip the... Oh, shit. That's right. Actually, I should probably be still using the Magnum. Whew. There we go. That's better. Whew. Got him.
Going to crush you.
Ow. Oh, God, wrong button. Ugh. Yeah, this boss, I think, more I think about it, it is probably like the most annoying of them all to get through because of the because of his weak point being on the back, and it's kind of hard to maneuver while also keeping track. He also deals a lot more damage.
Going to crush you.
Ow! Why'd you aim for the head? The game normally does not do this when it comes to the lock-on. Ugh. Ah, fuck you.
Going to crush you.
There we go. There we go. Now we get this phase.
Time to get serious, York.
Ooh. Oh, come on. Oh, this is bad. It's especially difficult because I don't recall him doing like when he does like a melee swing. I don't. Yeah, like right there. I don't recall him like having done the follow-up before half the time. It's otherwise real difficult to actually get that. Oh well. There. Whew. And I wasn't done reloading too, so that... Shit. There! Got him! Gotcha, bitch! There! Oh man, just let me reload, please. Zack is now permanent. Yes, that is correct. Also, thanks for stopping by. This is actually kind of probably going to be getting near the end of things, because this is the last side quest we have to do, and it's a boss rush. Okay, hold on. Oof, that nearly hit me. Ow! Oh, yeah, that game really... The game does not give you a lot of room to try and dodge his axe throw if you are, like, at point-blank range. Like, I was mashing the evade button in time for that. It was not working. And he does not stop now. Just... This is ridiculous. There! You really gotta wait for him to, like, just do that taunt. So pointless. There we go. Whew. Alright. Another first aid kit, that's good. So yeah, so far, area, in cases of, like, with what you've missed, I've done a lot of, like, replaying some of the Otherworld segments, to get more trading cards for money, but also some extra weapons, such as a chainsaw, a grass cutter, which is more like a weed whacker, and this, unironically, is, like, I think the best melee weapon of the entire game. You just walk forward and run into enemies with this thing out, and it just chews them up. Also an axe, but it's not like it's not the Raincoat Killer's axe, so it's kind of disappointing. We also gave back the Grekkoch to Keith, our guitar, because we technically stole it from him. It's like the RE7 saw. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess that is kind of a good way to put it. Yeah, it's basically the sort of thing where, like, it's not a swinging weapon. It's just like an active hitbox that you extend in front of you. That said, it's not really useful for this boss rush, all things considered, but that's fine. Let's take on Kaysen again. I'm honestly worried, though, if they're gonna have me go through the second phase again, where I just have to run through the infinite spiral staircase. Fighting this freak again. Okay. There we go. This weird bouncing idiot. Oh yeah, and we also got like a infinite ammo assault rifle. It's pretty solid, all things considered. Obviously, it's not like hard-hitting single-shot power like the Magnum does, but then again, it's a Magnum. I'm just using this for parts of it for variety's sake. Like, this thing actually, like, chews up the fight with Thomas real quickly, assuming you're able to hit him consistently. Actually, I'm just gonna go back to the Magnum. Just to kind of see what the damage comparison's like. Yeah, I guess it's about the same. Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, Magnum is still kind of like the best ranged weapon in this game, followed by the assault rifle. Okay. Yeah, so far looking at it now, just what I've been going through on this session, whole lot more like combat challenges than I was expecting as far as like available content in the post game. But I guess that's what happens when you do so much of the regular side quests, like, at the earliest possible convenience, which is near the end of episode 1. Okay. Try harder, Zach. I'm trying as hard as I can, honestly. I'm still kicking your ass. You've not even hit me once. Man, this dude is such a loser. Okay. That's one thing I love in DMC5, the responsive enemy banter in the bosses fights. Yeah, that is one of like that is such like a good addition they made. Because yeah, you've had bosses that obviously have like quips, but I think it's like the fact that there's stuff that could actually be like subtitled is the thing. And that even in some cases, like, the banter is stuff that, like, your character responds to. That's the best part. Oh, God, they're making me do this again? Like, this running down the staircase? That's ridiculous. Alright, fine. I'll just keep doing this. Actually, I'm not even going to use, like, the palm of my hand to do this. I'm just going to... Because he's still going to catch up to me no matter what. That's the problem. You can't outrun him. He always is going to fire projectiles you need to evade, or he's going to run into you and you need to do, like, a multi-button sequence. Like that. So, yeah, I'll just take my sweet time using the thumb to actually wiggle the stick. Even though it's still very annoying. Yeah, this is the sort of thing where you think about it and like, yeah, these fights are not hard. But man, do they find ways to make them go on like way longer than they should. Ugh. I will say, though, I am relieved that, like, with those, like, 4-button combination QTEs, that they are at least a consistent pattern. It's always either clockwise or counterclockwise, pressing the face buttons in that order. Now then. Let's see. Actually, I've been thinking about it more. I'd probably be more okay with how this sequence is if there were more of like the fancier camera angles. Like part of what makes this feel like it goes on so long and you have no idea how much more left you have to go is that like the default camera angle is always like right in front of Zack facing him. I'd rather have more camera angles like what you saw there. Like panned out, showing the action from different angles. Maybe have more shots that show where the end goal is. Okay. This whole section is just so goofy. It's just like a on-rail running sequence, and everything you do is just designed to, like, make this dude miss you and just fall. Okay. Alright, magnum bullets. Thomas's biscuit. Sure, I'll take that. Yeah. We're ready to go. This is the final phase. Alright. Final fight with Kaysen once again. So how's your day been, Arian? Just bringing it up because of, like, what else is there for me to really talk about with this game? We're seeing the exact same boss fights, obviously. I'm actually gonna use the assault rifle for this. If I can actually hit the fucking thing. Been sleeping, recovering from leg injury, playing Genshin Impact, designing character, the usual. Oh, sorry about the leg. Hope it doesn't take too long to get much better. As for me, it's still been going. I'm just holding out until my birthday so I can finally play Metroid Dread, which is in about 4 days from now. And still kind of just for, outside of that, should be fine in 2 or 3 weeks. Nothing serious. Okay, that's a relief. Yeah. Yeah, and outside of waiting for Dread, still, I've just been doing a lot of like thinking and planning on what sort of what the near future stream plans are after Deadly Premonition. Just did too much while running. Okay, it's that kind of injury. I totally get that. Yeah, I can barely see the damage being done even when I'm hitting that thing. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I gotta heal just to be safe, because regenerating health is only helpful to a point. Okay. Yeah. Magnum, still the best weapon. The best gun weapon, at least. The best melee weapon is the grass cutter, but as I've called it, it's more like a weed whacker because that's what it looks like. Like, that's sort of the device I described. Like, that's the sort of thing I've used in the past anytime, like, my parents told me, like, to help with clearing out some of the weeds in our backyard growing up. Like, if there was actual grass that needed to be cut, we would use, like, a proper lawnmower. Okay. Now then. There. Far enough away that I can properly dodge those shockwaves. Still takes a long while, but that's obviously because with this being a boss rush and not part of the main story, they've actually made a lot of things about it quite harder. Like, these bosses are a lot tankier than they were before. The one exception, I think, is Thomas, but I think that's only because he was initially designed more around Emily's specific weapon, which she only had one to work with. Okay. But yeah, it's definitely making these feel like it's going on for just a bit too long for my liking. That said, I am kind of curious to like do some chapter replays of this game, bumping the difficulty to hard, but just using all these bonus weapons I've acquired, because they're real silly. I love the amount that are in here, and the fact that that there's like a good few you can point to that are not like conventional guns or melee weapons. That's the best part. Like, it's the sort of thing where just the weapon variety you have to work with is very evocative of classic Silent Hill. Because I remember with Silent Hill 2, there was like you could get the chainsaw on New Game Plus. And then there was like some especially goofy stuff in Silent Hill 3. Like, there was like a beam saber or something to that effect, wasn't there? Like, but like between like the bonus weapons and costumes, Silent Hill 3 had like quite a lot of extra goofy items you could unlock. Okay. Yeah. Even Homecoming had stuff like that. Yeah, just like real surprising, and that's like one of the worst games that you could consider mainline in the series. But yeah, it's like that's just one of those things where I dearly miss its presence in a lot of games today. It's the sort of thing where I feel like if a game is able to afford adding that stuff, you know that they were big fans of like what games were like in the PS2 era and even before that. Because another game that I like that has a lot of fun, goofy, unlockable bonus items is Disaster Day of Crisis. The game that I always say is the best Monolith Soft game. Just as a kind of fuck you to the people that like think that their RPGs, the thing that they're most known for, are like their best work. No, it's their weird disaster report time crisis hybrid game is way more enjoyable and has a lot more charm to it, and less up its own ass. Well, I guess in some ways the up its own ass part kind of depends on like which Xeno game you might be talking about. But seriously, Disaster Day of Crisis is like, it is PS2 Japanese beat game as hell. And that is what makes it so great. Okay. He only needs to take one more hit, I think. He should be, Yes, okay. That's it. Now he should get ready to put the doll away in his pocket. Ugh, okay. Maybe worth a stream? Definitely. I am still trying to find like the right time and place to show off Disaster. I think for me it's more a difference of like which ones, like which version of Disaster I want to stream, because I have both the European and Japanese versions. Funny enough, it's just that the European version is the only one where like I have a 100% completed file, so I could show off the real goofy stuff. But the Japanese version has some very interesting differences in like the dialogue and names for certain things that I think is worth showing off. But I don't have like a completed save file for that, so it would be more akin to showing off like a fresh playthrough of that. Both I think are worth their time, but yeah, I really want to get to that though. That said, it is kind of weird though, kind of going back to it and realizing that like Ruben Langdon's in it, and I'm pretty sure I don't need to really like elaborate on much more about like what my thoughts are about Ruben these days. But like the thing about it was that game, like it's mocap and like cutscenes were done by like his stunts production company. But I guess like the positive to that is that Dan Southworth is in there. He voices a couple characters, and they're great. Okay, but we took care of Kaysen, and now for the most fitting of bonus weapons in any survival horror game. We got an infinite rocket launcher. We're Resident Evil now. And it looks as terrible as you expect for this game. I mean, even look at that. The explosion was straight up clipping through the wall itself. But I mean, an infinite rocket launcher that can hold like 3 grenades before needing an actual reload. That is delightful. Oh man, that's great. There we go. Oh, it's raining now. Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I actually realized I forgot to do something. Oh, yeah, that's right. There is, I think, still one more quest we need to do. But that's going to require us to move time forward to, like, late in the evening. Because I forgot, like, I still have, like, all the new trading cards I have, I still need to turn those in to Wesley at Panda Bear. Okay, so we're not entirely done just yet. Because after doing that, I was like, cool, that's the last side quest. I just need to go back to the hotel. Wait, hold on, that's not it. Okay, hold on. Yeah, God bless this silly game. I'd completely forgotten just the amount of like fun unlockable weapons and items that you get in this game that you just never see if you're only focused on playing through the main story. Which, if you do it that way and don't get all the extra items that I did along the way, then yeah, it would clearly be something of like a tedious mess trying to get through. In the end, though, we did have to give back our guitar to Keith, but I think the trade-off has been more than worth it. Oh wow, and the effects of the biscuit were still going on, that our hunger meter hasn't even gone down as a result of sleeping for 12 hours straight. Okay, so let's flip that back up. And warp over to the gunsmith, because he's a trading card collector and we need to indulge him in our current collection. There it is. There we go. Yeah, I got some more cards. How about you take a look?
Found new cards? Show them to me. 64 cards. That's a full set.
Yep.
I never expected to be able to see a full set of these cards.
Well,
I
a full
appreciate you
set
showing them
barring
to me.
one.
Here's a little something. As
But that's
promised.
like the very last thing, and oh my god, I
That light sword was a top secret weapon developed by the U.S. Army. Just read the manual before trying to use it.
Oh
Hold
my
on to it,
God.
okay?
This is the greatest game ever.
And thank you for showing me the full set.
Oh, wow. God. Okay. We're gonna put away one of our guns here. Oh yeah, that's right. We still held on to Emily's gun. I mean, it's nice, but we don't really need it. The light sword, however. Yeah, freaking give that to me. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, I think once all's said and done, and then we do like get to the credits and do the one last thing I need to get, the actual final secret trading card, I am going to load up the prologue again in chapter replay, bump it to hard difficulty, and just go to town with all these tools. It even does like a knockoff version of the lightsaber swoosh, like sound effect when you swing it. Just like with Bayonetta when we finished the under chapters. Yeah, with the gun nunchucks, that is still one of the best. God. Like, that is the greatest thing that you can count on when it comes to Kamiya's games. Especially like from Okami onwards. Like, regardless of how much more expensive the budgets for developing games is going to end up being, you can count on him to just fill the game to the brim with a lot of fun unlockables to keep bringing you back for more. You know? Like, Bayonetta had a ton that, and like so many of them obviously feeling more impactful than the unlockables you got in 2. And then, obviously, Wonderful 101's got a lot of fun stuff you can unlock with extra characters. God, I am so hopeful for Project GG and that it will be, like, similarly dense. Because it deserves it. Wait, hold on! You saw that! Oh, man, I'm trying to... Oh, you saw it, though. Like, the car was kind of sinking into the ground. Well, let's try it again on this incline. Oh, you saw it. You saw a bit of it. You saw it. Okay. Yep. Good job, Deadly Premonition. You're the best, jankiest game ever. Alright. But alas, we got everything we need to out of Greenvale. It's time to pack things up and have Zack go on his way. There we go.
York, tonight I'm going to sleep like a baby.
Okay. It is. We're still, I mean, like, again, there's still one extra thing, but let's see. Yes, I'm ready, or there's still things I want to do. Yes, I'm ready. All right, York. Thank you. Oh.
Polly, what's that picture?
Oh, that. We took it when the clock tower was built.
50 years ago?
That's right. That's me in the middle. I was pretty popular back then. Men were always around me.
Oh, full of yourself, aren't you? Oh, look at that
Sorry,
pixelated
Phoebe.
casing.
Just sign here, please. Mr. Morgan? Mr. Morgan!
Oh, I'm sorry, Polly. I was just thinking of a friend. Someone who was with me for a long, long time.
He must have been a really good friend then. Otherwise, why else would you remember him at a time like this?
Indeed. We used to fight, but he really was a good person. He's gone now, though. Gone away to a place where we can't meet again.
I'm sorry to hear that, but if he's a friend of yours, I'm sure he's getting on just fine.
Thank you, Polly.
Oh, he
You know
is.
what?
Hopefully.
I think so, too.
I don't know how well spirits could cook in the afterlife, but I can only imagine that Emily might be getting better at it. He's not having to suffer with, like, bad spirit food or something. Ah. And now he's like, nah. Smoking was more York's thing, if anything. Wait, hold on. It's still his thing. I had to use cigarettes just to pass time before. Oh, no. Oh, dear. The case and doll's still around. Zack, for whatever reason, is just gonna walk out of town instead of actually driving for some reason. Ah. There we go. We hit the credits. Oh yeah, and they're just showing, like, not just the names, but they're also showing in parentheses which company they were part of, because this was like a combination of Access Games, Marvelous, and Ignition. And there's the director, Swery himself. Oh wait, I guess Ignition was specifically when it came to like the localization distribution in the US. Actually, I'm wondering if I should just skip this. Maybe I should. Is there... If I just press a button, will it do anything? Walking out of town's just logical. Here's a dangerous lunatic with multiple personalities and hallucinations driving a police car that's all over the roads and sidewalks. Oh my god, my fucking controller. Of all things. Ah, you know what, screw it. But in all fairness, I like to think that I was decent enough at driving around. I think. Who knows? And there's York and the girls, all in the hanging out in the afterlife, which is a diner, I guess. The afterlife's whatever you want it to be, is what I figure. Oh yeah, and Thomas is still there as well. Ah, yes. And of course, York does not get to keep the beard in the afterlife. There we go. So, why isn't everyone wearing their formal slinky red dresses, though? Hey, that's only for special occasions, you know? But there we go. Nearly 18.5 hours on total clear time, 26 days total, 706 enemies defeated. Only one continue. The last one I was still remiss that it happened, but I'll let it slide. A 100% nigh deathless run. Maybe the beard is more Zach's thing. Maybe, yeah. I mean, we were Zach the whole time, even though York was in his place. Okay, so, let's see. Special. Okay, this special menu, I know for sure I've definitely not seen it all, so I'm, like, really confusing myself now on, like, how I'm supposed to be doing things. Hold on. I'm actually gonna go to the right first. Okay. This is a weird menu. Like, you have these arrows. There's, like, instead of just they don't even give you, like, a normal, like, list menu to work with. Instead, they just retailor, like, the pause menu with, like, its tab system menus and just this weird jank thing. So, yeah, we've got... Yeah, we could pull up the television, which just lets us watch all of these old cutscenes. Or listen to music. The whole game has slightly questionable UI decisions. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Yeah, and like this music is just called comic relief, rather. Yeah, actually, let's just put it back to this, and then check what's over here. So we got trading cards, and then like, and then a mysterious door. Yeah, but let's look at the trading cards. See, we got 64, but there's one that we don't have just yet. But let's go back to, like, the center option. Panning over that paper with a series of numbers. Alright, so... coverage photo. Which, this... Okay, I see what this is going with. This is actually kind of cool. They straight up... Like, this is them, the dev team, just going on a trip to, like, the Pacific Northwest and, like, taking photos for reference. Which is really cool. Like, this is the sort of thing where I feel most, where, like, most developers, they obviously do this if they're trying to, like, get references for, like, creating, like, the location that they want. But I can't really think of much games out there that, that actually just include the reference material as, like, unlockable bonus. Like, seeing this... In all honesty, this is way more of a compelling, like, unlockable than just concept art. Hold on, I wanted to check out the other two. So yeah, 35, 14, 26, and 203. Cooking. Look at that. Although, like... Wow. So looking between my TV and the stream output itself, they really did just, like, shift the saturation toward red color values on this as the default. This is not a result of things getting screwed up by, like, the OBS settings I have. It's looking just as, like, searingly red. Like, on my CRT, as it is for... Well, I guess it's both searingly red and yellow. Still, seeing some of these dishes are definitely making me hungry. Oh, look at that. It's a cherry pie and a cup of coffee. Wonder what that could mean. Yeah, bonuses. Yeah, and now these are all just rainbow tinted. Like, what were... Like, I guess, was this a necessary step in order to, like... In order to get around possibly having these real-world locations, like, actual photographs in the game itself? Oh, look at this! Kind of hard to see, obviously, with the low resolution, but you can clearly tell that is Swery just rocking out with that rockabilly statue. God bless that man. Okay, so here's what we actually need to do in order to unlock that mysterious door. Oh, before that though, I appreciate the mounted deer head just bobbing its head along with the music at an incredibly low keyframes. Shouldn't be a big copyright infringement. Yeah, you'd think. It seems like a weird thing they decided to do regardless. Still, what we need to do actually is that we need to do the numbers. They had to do with like the initials next to them. So like TV, JB, TC, and PT. TV is television, obviously. JB is jukebox. TC is trading card, and PT is photo. So what we need to do is actually like select the things where like the number corresponds to those initials. All right. So we're going to let that music play, at least until it loops, assuming I can hear it loop. Which I think I'm just gonna just kind of sit here for a while. This is like a weird unlock requirement. Like, it requires me to listen to a specific song until it loops. I think the difficult part I realize, though, is that, like, I have no idea how long this song goes for. So you have to actually listen. You can't just follow, like a progress bar. Is that it? I think it is. It'll still play in the background, and that technically counts. So I'll just look at the trading card that I need to next, which is, let's see. Oh yeah, it is looping now, that's right. So look at number 26. Polly, the owner of the hotel. A bit on the pushy side, but full of good intentions. She enjoys talking, but is hard of hearing. Yeah, you would think, like, that'd be very nice to have if there was, like, some sort of chime just to let you know that looking at these things was important. So we're gonna now go to coverage photos. We gotta look at group 2. And view nature number 3. Yep, that's nature, all right. Now the last one, since we already know that the song has looped. We're gonna look up 35 on the TV, which is the epilogue. And yes, and we have to watch this now again in its entirety. I have no idea why. It's literally the last cutscene of the game we saw.
Polly, what's that picture?
Oh my god. This really is the most insane, like, series of, like, unlock requirements you need to meet in order to get what is essentially a trading card. It's just one extra trading card that's not part of the main set. Fucking ridiculous. Sweary, you madman.
Just sign here, please. Mr. Morgan? Mr. Morgan?
Oh, I'm sorry, Polly.
Sorry, Polly. I was still
just
thinking
thinking
about,
of a
like,
friend,
if I needed to
someone who
listen
was
to
with
this
me for
one
a long
song
time.
another time in order to unlock the secret door.
He must have been a really good friend, then. Otherwise, why else would you remember him at a time like this?
Okay.
Indeed. We used to fight.
You think Zach
but
was
he
blonde
really
the whole
was a good
time and that's why no
He's
one
gone
remarks
now,
on the change?
Gone away.
I think
Place
it's
where
more
we
an,
can't meet again.
a matter of, like...
I'm sorry to hear that.
I feel like that there is
He's
some,
a
like,
friend of
weird
yours.
reality-altering
I'm sure he's
quality
getting
to
on
it where it's
just
like...
fine.
Thank you,
People...
You know
like,
what?
probably everyone in the
I think
world
so,
that
too.
knew him as York... Like, the word York, the identity of York just gets replaced in their mind with Zach. It's... I'm trying to think of, like, another, like, reasonable example for, like, how to describe this. I feel like, okay, this is going to be a bit dangerous, but I feel like it's one that Arian will understand. But, So you know the whole deal with, like, the start of Kingdom Hearts 2 is that, like, everyone, like, when Sora is asleep, that like, everyone seems to forget. Like, they have this blank spot in their head of who Sora is, but as soon as he wakes up, everyone instantly, like, the memory of Sora just goes back in their head. I feel like it's like that, but instead of removing something entirely, it's just replacing that identity with another one and being like, oh yeah, Zack, I always knew him, even though in reality they always knew him as York. I think the only exception to people by that, yeah, but they forget Roxas. That's true, yeah. Again, it's like, it's a swapping of, like, of identities, as it were, but, like, in the same place, I guess. I don't know. That's the closest that I could think of. But now the door's open. That's fine. Okay. So now we just need to keep going forward. And yeah, like, the clues are based entirely on, like, that piece of paper with the numbers. Because when you press, like, the top arrow, what happens is that, like, as it's going over to the coverage photos menu, it briefly, like, hangs over that piece of paper with the numbers. Yeah, what you get out of it must have been an effort by some dedicated nerds, though. True. But, I mean, here's what we get out of this. No, it's not just us meeting York face to face again. This is what we get. Yeah. It's a trading card of Swery. And that's it. With that, it can be said definitively that I have 100% completed Deadly Premonition. And here's Swery, the director of the game. He created Deadly Premonition and was inspired by the small towns in the Northwest, and definitely not Twin Peaks. He loves big hamburgers and can't live without ketchup. There are many Easter eggs about him hidden in the game. Try to find them all. This at least is a very endearing way of trying to, like, include the game's director in the game itself. Now, everything is complete, but there is one more thing I do want to do, and I mentioned it before. Here's the twist. Swery was actually the small evil tree in the pot. The human's just trying to help with the photo. Oh no. Okay. So, yeah, that's it. However, what if we were to go back to the beginning with all of our stuff on a hard difficulty and see how the game handles it? Because we have so many crazy dumb tools to play with. Oh yeah, the tutorial. And since we're obviously at the back to the beginning of the game again, we are 100% clean shaven. That's just how it is. We went back in time. Time has stopped. Yep. A doll shaped like a fat man. Something that, like, blows your mind when you go back to the beginning and realize the significance of the fat man. You know? We call it foreshadowing. Well, yeah, and non-blonde. Non-blonde and non-heterochromia.
Zack, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, barely. Your audio mixing is awful.
If you can hear my voice, could you respond?
Okay, yes.
Good. I thought you went to sleep.
But this will be fun, because it means we're gonna have get an opportunity to just show off the freaking light sword, as it's called. Or lightsaber, really. That's what it is.
Okay, Zack.
Among all the other fun, goofy extra weapons. In fact, this is the one cutscene I'm actually going to play again, just because this conversation is always gold.
Listen,
Reminds you of
they
the start in the
both
Automata
need
where they
each
had you
other.
calibrate
It's called
yourself.
interdependency,
God, that was
and they
such a
both
good
know it.
sequence. It was such a funny
Yeah, I know.
payoff
He
when you
does
get to
terrible
Route
things
B.
to Tom. Nasty, even sadistic things. But that's fine, as long as
Yeah,
that's
just
what
think
the
about,
child
like,
wants.
you finish playing this game for the first
He's always
time,
asking for
then
it.
you go back
It's
through this and
partner's
just
job
realize all
to
the
fulfill
imagery that it had been
and Jerry
signposting to
knows
you,
that.
and you did not think much about it at all until you had
in
seen
the
like
Tom and
the
Jerry
explanation
show,
for
they
it by
live with
the
each
end and
other.
just realize how well put together this was. That's the mark of like a good mystery story. It's in front of us the whole time. Caden is just Ned Yak backwards.
I can't believe the Bureau still can't get me a satellite phone. These puppies are making me go to another town in the boondocks again.
Yeah.
Well,
That town in the boondocks being the source of it all.
being a waste of time. At the very least, it'll get me out of the cramped city for a while. Right, Zach? The perpetrator from the last case really was something. Who'd have thought there'd be razors laced into her nails?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's still like a really dope story in spite of the jank.
least I
And
now have a
sometimes
star to show
like
off.
even because of the jank. Just with how they are very limited on the
This
amount of
when I arrested
animations
that
they could
cat woman
use or
wannabe.
like music choices depending on the mood.
Crazy. Don't you agree?
It all gives it its own charm that has like established itself as being the cult classic that it is. Sane games are for boring people. I can agree on that. Why do you think I love Suda51 so much? All right. There are the squirrels making the chimpanzee noises. A mark of a quality game. Okay. What's life without a Kojima monologue trying to rewrite reality at you? I don't know. Depending on the monologue, that's probably either for the better or worse. I guess it depends on what era of Kojima, really. like what part of like that man's like history of like exposition do you want to try and like and like try and channel? Okay.
Zach, there goes the civilized world.
Yep. There we go. Now, let's see. We got so many weapons to choose from. Like, we got this crappy old, like, FBI custom. But we have an RPG, an infinite shotgun, an infinite magnum, an infinite assault rifle, an infinite submachine gun, a chainsaw, a grass cutter, which, again, I still call a weed whacker, a light sword, which is a lightsaber, and an axe. Look at this. Alright. Time to cut up some zombies. Or shadows, or whatever you call them. This is America. We don't do ammo limitations. Man. Okay. At least we can skip the profile.
Zach, I'll let you handle the meet and greet.
Oh, with pleasure, York. With pleasure. I got a literal goddamn lightsaber. The extended mag of freedom goes on forever. Wait, no, I just realized because also America is a capitalistic nightmare, they would probably still try and find ways to, like, keep you from having, like, an unlimited ammo cap because they want to keep selling you more bullets. Ah, fuck, it could go either way. Curse this country. Okay, let's just rush over to, like, the first enemy encounter so we can actually cut up a zombie with this lightsaber and see how it actually handles it. The late stage capitalism mag of exploitation goes on forever. God. That is a horrifying thought. But also very on point. Okay. Mysterious shadow. Pull out the lightsaber and... there we go. Still hits them well enough, even if it is low. But actually, I'm going to try something. Let's see if I can find a spot where I get enough distance. Come on. Come on. And... yes! Oh, this is perfect! Oh, man.
I've been through a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah, we don't need to do any extra profiling right now. This is already like a... and we don't even need to answer the phone if we're being honest, because the game doesn't even let you make saves during chapter replays. But that's fine. I just kind of wanted to show, give more room to show off these extra weapons. Especially on enemies that are much weaker than they were during, like, those post-game fights. Ooh, that is... oh! That's why it was bouncing off. Oh, that's why. You gotta hold the button. Oh! I did not think that they would include something like this. That's amazing. Okay. Because when I saw this, I was like, okay, that's the exact same swinging animation for all the other big melee weapons. Like the two-handed ones. So I thought there was nothing really special about it. You know? And obviously with the crates, that it just breaks them in one go. Lollipop Chainsaw, this ain't. Oh, man. That's a hell of a game, for sure. It goes on for quite a while, too, all things considered. But I'm down with that, actually. Holy shit. I'll probably also switch to the axe just to kind of see how that goes, but I'm pretty sure that it's just like any of the other two-handed weapons. It'll probably do a decent amount of damage, but nowhere near as much as like the Greg Hotch. Which, because we have saved our progress from doing the epilogue and returning the guitar back to Keith, we are now locked out of that. Which is a shame, but by the same token, I mean, like, we have so much more to work with. Like, that hammer was beautiful. Not the hammer. The guitar was so good. But it was so good because we did not have the stuff we have now. Alright, back to the grass cutter. For anything that is not above or below you, this weapon is the go-to. And it's also really great for demolishing obstacles. Because it's just like the hitbox effects are stacking like so rapidly. It gets around the slowness of using regular melee weapons to break those things open. Lollipop Weed Whacker, yeah! That's good. Okay. Generator looks really bad. Okay. Also, I think when we get to, like, obviously when we get to the part where, like, we get the last profiling bit, I'm gonna let the whole scene play, just to serve as an extra reminder of how well the story and the foreshadowing is, that it basically just rapid flashes a ton of images of what's to come in the story, but you obviously do not know what it all means when you first play through it, hence why it's called foreshadowing and not spoilers. Like some idiots on the internet like to confuse the two as. I still love that, like, this is good for destroying anything, including padlocks. Even though, in reality, this sort of thing would never work that way. I mean, even the way this works is, like... It'd still be pretty deadly if you were to use this as an actual weapon, because, like, in the context of, like, specifically weed whackers, which is what it reminds me most of, it's like, a weed whacker isn't even, like, a blade on a stick. It's more like just, like a thin sort of, like, it's just a wire on a wheel that just rotates really fast, but because of, like, the rotations that it's going through and the speed, it's, like, it's still, like, fast enough that it can, like, mess up flesh if it contacts it really bad. You know, it's like, no wonder it's good for, like, getting rid of weeds. Yeah, assault rifle's still fine. Definitely better than the infinite submachine gun. Still making more use of, like, the weapons we got as we get near the end of this. I also love how absolutely absurd the spread on this thing is. I mean, look at that! There's, like, no indication of, like, the pellets going that far out, but apparently they are. You still have to pump a whole lot of bullets into them, but, like, the spread, like, it actually does a good job at, like, fulfilling one of the roles that a shotgun can do, which is being crowd control, at least in video game terms. Granted, it's also... Actually, I have to do some testing to kind of see, like, what the actual range on this shotgun is, because that's the other thing that so many video games will, like, fuck up. Because they're like, for balance reasons, a shotgun has to have a wide spread, but they constantly make it, like, less viable because they forget that shotguns still go a long ways like most other guns. Is it ever explained who's paying you cash to disintegrate monsters that only you can see? I assume it's our supervisor in the FBI. He probably believes us enough that, like, he doesn't question it anymore. He's like, whatever, this dude gets results. I would not be surprised if he's extorting me with all this bullshit that he says he's doing and is trying to get me to pay him extra. But if it makes him do the job well, then by God, I'll give him all the money he needs just to get him off my back. That's what I imagine. That's probably Abrams' entire justification for, like, for making him do this. Okay. Now then. Oh, wow. I just noticed. I think there's like... Let me get it over something where... Yeah! There's an actual sway. There's a sway on using the rocket launcher. It's like the most noticeable I've seen for anything in this yet. I'm surprised. Next sweary game is York's Supervisor Sim. See how much ridiculous nonsense you can get the bureaucracy to pay for. Oh, that would be amazing. God bless it. Also, I still up... Whoa, hold on. Oh. You're sneaking up on me, I can tell. But yeah, if you really want to have an easy way to make the game's frame rate shit itself, just stick the Weed Whacker in a solid unbreakable object and just do this. Oh, yeah. All that choppiness. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's enough. Oh. There we go. Man, and to think when I first started the stream of this, like going through the prologue the first time, I had still completely like messed up the initial QTE. And yes, the Raincoat Killer. We were him once in a kind of novel like character switch as part of a flashback. Okay. All these red vines. Or red ivy, rather. Okay. Now, here's the profiling. See if you can recognize all these scenes. Yeah, they were literally showing screenshots of like major moments in the game in chronological order, I might add. Like, and like the further it gets into the to the profiling where it's showing stuff from the very end of the game, it's going through the snapshots a lot faster.
There's definitely something in this town.
They got their mileage out of that finger waving animation. Oh yeah, they did.
Yesterday morning, the milk I poured in my coffee made a
Even
sound.
Michael gets in on it, although his pose and animation for it is slightly different because he's standing upright. Okay. Now, before I go over there, I want to show an actually interesting thing this game does, if you even so much as think of as trying to leave Greenvale and go out of bounds. This will take a bit of a while, but trust me, you'll notice it when something weird happens. So it's like York just decides, you know, this town's crazy. I'm done with this. I'm heading out. So, the rain has stopped. Funny. Why is everything getting so pale? Oh. Oh my. Yeah. It's just as well the next town over is Silent Hill. Yeah, that's why they turned you around. Not only do you have anything to investigate, but if we even so much as keep running down that road, we're going to end up in the wrong place. So yeah, that's how they stop you. On top of the obvious York telling you to turn around, the game will actually fog up to try and hide the fact that they probably did not want to model the draw distance that far out for an area that you cannot get to. So the closer you get, the more the fog piles up in order to, like, try and deter you beforehand. But yeah, that was, like, a detail that I always felt was, like, really cool that they did. Especially when, like, this is actually the only way, this is the only road that goes out, in and out of Greenvale. Like, everything else, there's no other extra roads that service an exit out. So I guess that was like a nice way to kind of save them the headache of like putting up more barriers for the player to not go out of bounds. But yeah, I guess that's what the game looks like when you go back through the beginning with all your post-game bonus weapons and other nonsense. And with that, I guess that's actually just gonna be it for the stream. I'd say that was, excuse me. I'd say that was a pretty good send-off to it, all things considered. We got all the trading cards, all the side quests, all like the goofy extra items we could get.
Just call me York.
Even showed them off against regular enemies.
Agent York?
Good, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you the sheriff?
It's no problem.
No, I'm Deputy Sheriff Emily Wilde.
It was especially fun for me to finally just do like my own personal playthrough of this from start to finish after so many years of just watching other people play this game across different versions.
Walk all the way here?
You know, like obviously I would have gotten around to playing this a lot sooner if I had a 360 back in the day. But I didn't get around to that until like straight up like only a few years ago when I bought one used. Like around, yeah, I think it was actually start of.
Worth a trip to the
You're the internet's super best great friend. Oh, thank you.
She'll think you're a psycho. Don't want that, do we, Zach?
Welcome to Green.
Actually, you should then amend that and say, I'm the internet's super best great giant bomb friend. Because I had also watched their endurance run of this back in the day, and that was like my introduction to this amazing gem.
Francis York Morgan. Please, just call me York. That's what everyone calls me.
Oh, man. So yeah, Deadly Premonition is done. Completionist playthrough is all completed, for lack of a better word.
Let's just say it's
pretty much next things I'm going to be streaming immediately. On Monday, I'm going to be switching gears to playing some House of the Dead games. Specifically, House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return, because I have it loaded on my Wii. And I feel like playthroughs of both those games will warrant like a decent amount of time for a stream. Wednesday is my birthday, and I'm going to be not doing any streams on that day because I want the time to myself. And then Saturday and Monday is going to be me playing through House of the Dead Overkill, just because I get the sense that that game's going to take more than one playthrough, because it was a console game exclusively, you know? It wasn't made for arcade, so they made it inherently longer than than actual arcade-like gun shooters. And then once that's done, on like the following Wednesday, like the 27th, the big one I'm looking forward to, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, the Phoenix Wright knockoff game based on the amazing Harvey Birdman cartoon. So yeah, that's what's coming up.
Thanks. That'll be all.
Again, like,
I think I'll rest up first
thank you, everyone. Both everyone that has been here in chat live, as well as those that are like watching the VODs afterwards in case they missed it. Thanks for just seeing this whole playthrough, whether it's been your first time or multiple times. Harvey Birdman, that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, that'll be a good one.
And we'll handle the
and even with that one specifically, I'm only aware of what goes down in the first case for that game, because that's what I played beforehand to get an idea of if I would like the game or not. The rest of it, those remaining cases, I'm going in completely blind in, so pretty much most of my reactions for when I stream that from start to finish are going to be super genuine.
Middle Ages, and we've just met the king.
All right, that's enough. Is Colbert's Mentalk the Mind Taker in it? Wait, Colbert wasn't Mentalk, was he? I'm pretty sure it was someone else. Colbert's was specifically Reducto and Philken 7. But Mentalk, I mean, I didn't see Mentalk in the first case that I had played of the game. I want to say he's in there. I'm pretty sure all the major characters from the show are in it. It's just that Philken 7 and Reducto are voiced by different people because Colbert wasn't available for it, unfortunately. So And I didn't get to hear what Reducto or Phil sounded like during the brief time that I played of that, so I have no idea what to expect on like how far off those characters are gonna sound. But the rest, they had everything. I mean, they had like Peanut, they had Bird Girl, they had Gigi, Peter Potamus with that thing he sent you. David had Mytor as the judge for the first case, which I'm glad that they still brought back. Because Mentok, yeah, he was the more entertaining judge, but Mytor still had his own charm to him. But we'll see how it goes in like a week and a half from now. That's going to be a fun journey. All right, and with that, I am signing off. See you later.